We know the story of Master and Man written by Tolstoy, so I'm not going to be very detailed about it. The gist of the story is this. Two men get lost in a snowstorm and they have to survive. The first man, the master, is a man named Vasily. And the second one, the man, in this master-man paradigm, is Nikita, who is a peasant. And Nikita is not a good manager of his wealth or his family. Nikita gets drunk. He goes on benders sometimes. And at the same time, Tolstoy doesn't write Nikita off as some kind of immoral human being who lacks sense. Rather, Nikita, despite his flaws, Nikita is wise. He talks to himself all the time. He's very kind with humans and animals. He's a hard worker, he's prompt, and he's very in tune with his surroundings. The master, on the other hand, is very self-absorbed, but he's not written as evil. He's not the antagonist. He's a good manager of his wealth, but all he really wants to do is keep on making money. Tolstoy writes the master as a man who's self-interested, self-absorbed, but not unredeemable. The master is still capable of seeing past his social status and understanding that he is human. At the same time, it takes a very specific circumstance, the snowstorm, to bring the master to understand that he's not a master, he's a man. And men, all of us humans, are meant to love each other and respect each other and give each other basic human dignity. Because obviously we're human before we are rich or poor, peasant or landowner, master or servant. So think of this. If right now you were caught in a snowstorm with anyone, maybe someone important like Donald Trump or Biden, or someone evil like Saddam Hussein or Hitler, or maybe someone good like a pope, or someone you love like your mother, or maybe even just a friend of yours, someone you know, someone that maybe you talk to every now and then. You don't like them, you don't hate them. What would you do? And how would you collaborate to survive the snowstorm? How would you understand each other's basic humanity in that circumstance? It might be that you would look out for yourself because you think that you're better than this person socially, right? And many times our social experiences, our status, mold us our social status molds us so that we can't see beyond ourselves. And so then in a snowstorm scenario, we only look out for ourselves. And so in Tolstoy's Master and Man, these two men are lost in the snow, and at first the master looks out for himself because he perceives himself as more valuable than Nikita. And it's ironic because the master does not perceive himself to be a man. He perceives himself to be a master. And then the elements take over, and he's faced by this cold. And then he looks over at Nikita. He comes back to Nikita after the whole horse in the snow incident, and he sees Nikita as a man just like him, who is about to die. And it's this curious moment of salvation for the master, because the master lays down his life for the man, Nikita, in a very similar way that Jesus gave up his whole master of the sky, master of heaven, master of the universe status, and clothed himself in human flesh and gave his life for his friends. The master humbled himself to become a man and gave his life to save Nikita, who was a flawed person. Now, what of Nikita? How do we understand him in this master-man paradigm? So Nikita survives, but I think that Nikita symbolizes several things. He symbolizes common sense. He symbolizes just ordinary humanity. He represents how ordinary people have flaws. He represents the servant. He represents the ordinary person who is not in a position of a master or not in a position of authority or wealth. But at the same time, I feel that Nikita represents a type of faith. Nikita represents a faith that understands that despite our human sins and errors and flaws lies redemption. But not by practicing some kind of well-defined religion, but a faith that comes through by doing small acts of kindness wherever you can. Nikita is patient with his master, even though his master cheats him, uses him, overworks him, and obviously almost kills him by driving into a blinding snowstorm. Nikita does all he can to save his master, to guide him to the right place despite the snowstorm, because he understands that the master is a man beyond the master's facade or social status. Nikita is deeply aware of his own flaws. At the same time, he doesn't give up hope that he can change and find redemption or resolution. And Nikita is a sinner like you or me, but he didn't rely on some kind of constructed religion to guide his faith. Rather, it just expressed itself through kindness to animals, through kindness to others. And through this, you can see how Nikita understood himself and his humanity. Nikita knew that he couldn't moral his way into a good standing with God. Like Vasily Andreevich, he always felt himself dependent on the chief master who had sent him into this life, and he knew that when dying, he would still be in the master's power and would not be ill-used of him. That's a quote from page 490. So the parting thought is this: you are human before you are anything else. Even before you believe in religion, you're human. And so treat others with that same basic love and respect. That's what God wants. Your religious systems, your social systems, your constructed metal, plastic, and stone hierarchies are nice but ultimately meaningless. You are human before you are anything else. And to kind of confirm this, here is a poem by Rumi, who is an ancient Arabic poet. Out beyond ideas of wrongdoing and right-doing, there is a field. I'll meet you there. When the soul lies down in that grass, the world is too full to talk about. Ideas, language, even the phrase each other doesn't make sense. Out beyond ideas of wrongdoing and right-doing, there is a field. I'll meet you there.